Hello, everyone. Welcome to William and the Magic Box. Today on our show, we're going to have Peter. Peter is from Dallas, in Texas, in the USA. So let's see what Peter has to say. Enjoy the interview. So, hello, Peter. How are you?
I'm good, William. How are you?
Very well. Thanks so much for taking the time today for the interview. Thank you.
Absolutely. Thanks for asking me. I was a little like, wait, why do you want to interview me again? Like, I'm nobody special. So I was like, okay, sure, why not?
So, tell me, how's your day going so far?
Great. It's a wonderful day here in Dallas, Texas. The sun is out and shining, which I happen to love quite a bit. We've got a great afternoon planned. We're gonna go hang out with some pups at Club Dallas. So excited about that. And then it's been a great weekend. So I'm just kind of riding good vibes from a concert on Friday, and we went out dancing last night. So I'm having a great weekend. Got no complaints really.
Amazing. So, tell me so far, what has been the highlight of your weekend so far?
I would say dancing last night. We went to a place called It'll Do. It's one of my favorite clubs. We were listening to Miguel Miggs, so it was great house music. Which, if you're a house music fan and you're familiar with that kind of crowd, they're very warm and welcoming, very friendly. So yeah, I'm still kind of riding high from that. Now, if you ask me later after the pool party, I might have a different story. But as of now, it was dancing last night. What about you? What was your favorite part of the weekend?
Good question, actually. Yesterday I went to the cinema, but after that I met a really good friend of mine that I haven't seen him for a while, and we went for a drink. And we just, when you meet a friend that you haven't seen for a while, so there's a lot of to catch up. We had a good conversation. One
Wow.
point I felt like I was losing my voice because the music was quite loud, and I was
Hmm.
like, speaking trying to force my voice. And one point when I left, I was like, "Oh my God! Hopefully tomorrow I'll be fine for the interview." So it was great. It was great to see him. Amazing.
Good, good.
So Peter, tell me where you're from.
When you say from, do you mean like born or like where I live currently?
Both.
Both. Okay, sure. So I was born right smack dab in the middle of the US in a little town called Omaha, Nebraska. There's a couple of songs about it. It's kind of right in the middle of the major interstates. And then from there, in my 20s, I moved to New York for a summer. And then I moved back to Omaha. And then I moved to Kansas City, Missouri. And then I moved to Kansas. And then I
Wow.
moved to Iowa. And then I moved to Minnesota. And then I moved to New York. And then I moved back to Kansas, back to Iowa. And now I'm back here in Texas. And I'm not moving anymore because it has been a lot of moving as an adult. So I'm kind of over it for a while. I feel like I'm going to kind of put down roots here. Dallas is great. I think, ironically, for being a conservative red state, Texas, I mean, Dallas is very gay friendly. In fact, as a queer adult male, I've never felt as safe as I do in Dallas, Texas. And it's great because we live in a neighborhood which, eh, a lot of folks who have never lived in a neighborhood, I think it's really shocking to just walk around and everyone you see is queer or an ally and just holding hands is a non-issue, just the things that I think in some parts, particularly of the US and other parts of the world, obviously, that can be a very dangerous thing, and for me as a person who's actually received physical violence just for being a queer person, existing in public, it took a long time to really feel safe, and so to feel safe here, yeah, it's great. I mean, I love it. I recommend anyone come visit Dallas. It's fantastic. You'll have a great time.
Actually, I had a few guests on the show from Dallas, and they said the same thing as well. Live in the gay neighborhood, you just feel free. You can be yourself. You can express the way you are. And I think that's how it should be everywhere. I think people, they should
Yeah.
be able to express the way they are and how they feel about it. That's how I believe as well.
Yeah,
And
it's interesting because there's a lot of like older queer people that have money in Dallas, right? So they actually own property, they own businesses, they can have some degree of control over what is happening because they have that agency that comes along with having those resources.
amazing. And all your family are back in Nebraska?
I don't know where they are actually. We are estranged. I
Okay.
don't really talk to anyone from my family at this point in time. I have one aunt that has my phone number, and we talk, over the holidays. There's no animosity, right? And so in my mind, it's like, okay, well, there's this. one link left that if something should happen, I'll know and I can make a decision of whether or not I need to attend. But, my healing journey brought into really stark relief the conflict that I have with my family. And I got to a point where I was like, oh, if these people were not blood related and there weren't this traumatic history, I wouldn't want to hang out with them. I wouldn't want to go see them. I don't really like them or enjoy spending time with them. And while it's really like, it's super hard to remove yourself from your family, right? Because there's a lot of cultural stuff that goes along with it. So, and
Totally.
especially for me, like I had a conservative religious family, right? So there was a lot of indoctrination that went on. And as I kind of deconstructed that faith and worked through all of that, I found myself more and more at odds with those people, and not just like on small, tiny things, but like big, fundamental, ideological things that are like human rights type stuff. So it was just like, I didn't see that when I was in it and how problematic that their culture was. But as I got further and further away from it, I was like, oh, this is deeply problematic and in large part a core trauma that I had. So like, I just don't want to be around that anymore. And so yeah, I don't know where they're. I think Iowa for my parents, who are still together. They're. I got a sister who might be in California still, one that it's probably in Omaha, and then I have no idea where the other one's at. Last I heard, she was South Carolina, North Carolina. So they're kind of spread out.
I see. And tell me, what do you do for work, for living, Peter?
I am so privileged because after a very crazy career, um, and not having a college degree and kind of like failing upwards in through technology, I have found myself as an account manager and a project manager for a small technology company that produces applications that allow HIV and AIDS patients to access care here in America.
Wow.
So basically the software, so anyone who gets tested for AIDS or HIV and comes back positive in the US winds up in a database for the CDC. And there's a lot of different providers that offer services in the nonprofit space that are funded through grants. Anyone who gets grant money in the US has to report what they're doing with that money. That's kind of burdensome, right? And then you also have to think about the patient, right? If you are seeing and getting services from multiple providers, you have to carry this paperwork around for you. So our software allows the providers to track their expenses and contracts, and the patients to have all of their medical information follow them across multiple providers. It's pretty cool that I'm just, I don't know, it's crazy that I got the job, honestly. I'm still a little in shock, but it's been working out pretty well. I've been working there for about a year now. That promotion just came through. So I just got back from Vegas too. We were out doing some training for clients and they were really thrilled. And we'll be coming back in January, I think, for more training for them. So
Wow, congratulations. It's amazing for you to
thank
be
you.
able to be doing something that you enjoy and also get recognized for that. It's amazing. It's great.
Yeah, it's that sweet spot that a lot of people really wish for, where you can feel good about the work that you're doing, right? And you actually enjoy the work as well. And the pay could, I mean, the pay could be better, right? Everyone can say that, but like it's good enough pay. It's good enough pay. So yeah,
Amazing.
I'm pretty privileged and blessed in it, and I'm very grateful for having it, honestly.
That's great, Peter. Good to hear. Okay, so during the interview, I'm going to explore a little bit more about your life and also about your point of views, okay?
Sure.
But before we start our journey within the magic box, I would like you to tell me something interesting about yourself, or maybe something that not many people know about you.
Ooh, something interesting about myself or that not many people would know. So this is an interesting tidbit. When I was in Minneapolis, I was there during a very interesting time. I was there for COVID. But my COVID experience was completely different than I think most of the world's experience of COVID, because I was not quarantined at all. And it's not that I was like, I thought it was a hoax or anything like that. I took it very, very seriously, got vaccinated, all that. But while that was all going on, many people may have forgotten that George Floyd was also murdered in Minneapolis at that time frame. And through everything that happened after that, martial law in Minneapolis, all the other things, being in a bunch of marches, we got to be a part of what was considered the largest and most expensive dance party in Minnesota's history. Because after the last election, a bunch of groups came together and they were protesting, and we decided that we were going to take the highway. And so my role in this march was to conduct music from within inside a van. We had a generator and speakers mounted all over it so that people could hear what was going on. They being the powers that be in Minnesota at the time did not appreciate us being on the highway, and so they shut down Highway I-94 in both directions for several hours. We were on this highway for probably 6, 7 hours, and at the end of the day, they wound up arresting like 675 of us. So it was this giant mass arrest, and then they threw us into buses and they dropped us all over Minneapolis. And so it was very interesting to live in a free country, right? But then experience what martial law looks like, to have people that are de facto military driving through your town telling you what you should and could be doing, where you can exist and where you can exist. That was crazy. It was probably the craziest thing that I'd ever been through. I hope to never have to go through that again. But yeah, I had a very, very different COVID experience. I'd never been around more people in my entire life on a regular basis.
I
So
see.
at a certain point, yeah, at a certain point in time, there was like 16, like 50, about a dozen protests a week that we were, the group that we brought together were providing logistics for. So it was a very crazy, interesting time.
I see. All right. Peter, are you ready to go on a beautiful journey through your memories in life and share your point of views?
Oh goodness, we'll see. Yeah, I'm excited. Let's see how many beautiful ones there are.
Amazing. Welcome to William and the Magic Box. So I have here my best friend. Full of random questions, okay? I'm just gonna play a song now just for us to relax before the first question, all right? Let's do it. Okay, so before we start the game, during the join, if it comes up a question that you don't want to answer, you don't want to talk about, always can change, okay? Okay, first question for you is, if I would ask your best friend right now to define yourself in one positive word and one negative word only, what your best friend would say?
Okay, what would my best friend say? One positive word, one negative word. See, first I got to think who my best friend is. All right, so currently that's gonna be my boyfriend. What would my boyfriend say in one word? I think kind. I think he would say kind for my positive trait or positive word, and then the negative, stubborn. I would say that can be that could be a negative, sure. A little too stubborn sometimes.
As I can see your eyes shining talking about your boyfriend. So tell me, how did your path cross, if you can share?
Sure. So it was a year and a half or so after my second divorce, which was deeply, deeply disturbing. It completely broke me. Suicidal ideation, lots and lots of therapy. It was very, very bad time. But I knew that I had to move on and move forward, right? So I was like, okay, well, this sucks and I feel like crap, but I'm going to go do things. I'm going to go to parties. I'm going to go to do dancing things and try and enjoy my life, even if it's difficult and I'm having breakdowns left and right. Like, we're going to do this. We're just going to raw dog this mental health stuff and figure it out. So I was in Dallas. At this time, I was living in Iowa, and I was just driving all over. I liked to travel, and I was just going and visiting people. And I had friends that lived here in Dallas, and I'd come down here many times before. And so I came down for a circuit party weekend. It was it's a funny story. It's not a funny story; it's a weird story. So it was it's kind of an infamous party now. Do you remember the monkeypox outbreak that happened in the U.S.?
Yes.
So one of the super spreader events was Daddyland here in Dallas, and that was what I came in town for. That weekend we hung out. We didn't really it was weird. Like, we hung out one night, and then I kind of just like came back to his apartment over and over again. We like watched TV for days. Like, I would leave, I'd go to a party because I paid for tickets, and then I would just come back and hang out. And then after I left, I told him, I was like, I'm not really looking for a boyfriend right now. Like, it was great to hang out with you. Let's keep in touch. And then the poor guy, like, a month and a half later, I was dating somebody, and he was like, I thought you didn't want a boyfriend, like, WTF. And I was like, I'm trying to figure stuff out right now. But I hate winter. And so the boyfriend I had at that point in time was in Minnesota, and I didn't want to be in Minnesota anymore. It was also where my marriage fell apart and all those bad memories and painful memories were. So it's like, okay, I'm gonna come down and visit Dallas. Would you mind if I come stay with you for a little bit? And basically, I never left. We kind of like, there's a joke about lesbians how they'll get a U-Haul, and like that's very much what it was. Like I came down here a couple winters ago, hung out. It went really well. It felt very safe. We were able to cohabitate in a way very quickly that we clicked, and I was like, well, if you don't want me to leave, I don't have to. I work remotely, so I can be wherever I want to be. And he's like, yeah, I'd like for you to stay around. And the rest has kind of been history.
Beautiful. Okay, so let's see that he's watched this interview right now. When you have a moment, an opportunity to send him a message, what would you say?
I would just tell him I love him. But he hears that all the time. It's just one of those things where I'm one of those believers, like the small things, like telling somebody you love them, show them you love them through tiny things. Yeah, just he knows. It's we're that couple where it's very obvious that like you're into each other, and it's interesting because after being a people pleaser for so long, and some of that has to do with like being inauthentic and really kind of like love bombing people. Like after having multiple failed relationships, I took it very slow to not do that, right? So it's been this like the more we're together, the more healing we do together, and the more that love kind of grows, which is very different than I think like Western society sells love like it's a drug, right? It's supposed to be this thing that wraps you up and you fall into love, and it's the and after a while, like you just get tired of that, right? And challenging to readjust to a truly safe relationship, right? It was like, I don't know what this is like. I didn't grow up with this. This hasn't been any of my previous relationships. So it's been like this process of adapting and accepting safety and allowing it to come in, and then trying not to self-sabotage it, right? Like, because if you're like, oh, this is weird and uncomfortable, like I might just do something to screw it up just because. But like, luckily, none of that's going on. So yeah, it's great.
Amazing. Next question. Yes, you can always name me.
Okay.
Next question is, what keeps you up at night?
I mean, other than anxiety, video games will sometimes keep me up at night. Anime will keep me up at night. If we're talking about like a thought or a fear, I used to have, and I don't know if I do anymore because I self-medicate with cannabis. I used to have a reoccurring nightmare of losing my teeth. It would be like a super vivid dream, like just you and I having this conversation, right? You don't even know that you're dreaming, and all of a sudden a tooth comes out, and then another one comes out, and all of a sudden they're just like falling out of my mouth, and it would happen over and over and over and over again. And eventually, like when I was younger, I didn't realize like, okay, that's probably a trauma response. Like if you're having those kind of nightmares and night terrors, there's more going on. And so my response at that point in time was just to self-medicate through partying and all those things, the dopamine treadmill, all of those things that we do to distract ourselves from the process of healing, to just be like, oh, I'm making it. I'm at least here, and I'm doing the things. But yeah, when you're not healed, like all those fun things can kind of become a trap, right? And I think that's where I found myself. So like that thing that kept me up, whatever that fear was, it kind of guided many decades of my life into not great places. So now, like I think for me, yeah, video games, anime, that anxiety of those are still kind of my coping mechanisms, I'd say, if I'm going to be honest about it. Like I'll stay up way later than I need to sometimes for no good reason, right? Like it'll be like, oh, I just want to have my own little space, my own little time, even though I have plenty of that. For some reason, the night is just that time frame where I'm just like, I would just like to do me and not have to worry about work, not have to worry about anybody calling me or texting me. Andrew, boyfriend, is sleeping. He's comfy. He wakes up super early too, right? So like he's at work by 6. I don't work until 8, and I don't have to commute. So it's like I wake up at 7 o'clock. So I think I stay up later than most people anyway. But also I would say it doesn't keep me up at night, but like if we're talking about like things that I'm super concerned about, top of the list is climate change. I'm at a point where like my climate anxiety, like I'm not up at night thinking about disasters and all that stuff, but like it's hard to not notice it everywhere you go these days, right? It's not just in the news, but it's like as a person who's been on this planet for 40 years and traveled all over, I see the changes in real time. So like to me, it's not a debate. It's not a matter of how many scientists agree or not agree. Like I'm not going to let anybody gaslight me. I can see the climate is changing. It's very obvious that it is. So I try not to focus on that stuff though, because it is can be a very depressing rabbit hole when you start thinking about all the stuff that the scientists have predicted is already coming true, right? And so if they've been right so far, but maybe on the side of their predictions were less than what's actually happening already. So if that's where we're at, and then you think about what they've said is coming, it's scary. I feel real bad for the next generation. Like they're gonna have a real challenge on their hands. And then I mean, we do too as people who are currently living here, but I think that it's just challenging because of that system. You know, that whole petrochemical industrial system where the money is and people like you can tell people all day long, hey, we want to stop burning fossil fuels, but how many people have stocks in it? You know, like that's one of those things that like change is hard when you want people to give up some comfort. You
Absolutely.
know,
I think now, it's sad to see nowadays those things happening, and it's just a reply back from the mother nature. You know what I mean? That's what we have received. That for sure.
it's a
Next,
trauma response. Like, yeah, like if Mother Nature was just like a person, like this is their body going into shock and being like, I can no longer exist like this, which I get. I mean, having been in abusive situations, I get it. Like, you get to a point where you're like, nope, I'm just going to break and it's going to be messy and good luck. Hope you figure it
absolutely,
out.
absolutely. Next question. Let's do
Sure.
it. You are a good dancer, I can see. Next question is, if you could have a superpower, what that would be?
Oh, that's a very broad question. I mean, I feel like we're talking about omnipotence, right? Like, I'm going to be one of those Omega level mutants. I would like to be able to just recreate reality on a whim. That would be awesome. I'm not going to go with like X-ray vision or anything like that. Like, if you're going to give me a superpower, I want it all.
When you think about yourself, Peter, when you analyze yourself, what's the biggest joy of being you? What do you like the most about being Peter?
Mm, what do I like the most about being myself? When I look back on the past 40 some years, one of the things that brought me the greatest joy was producing events. I used to be a big time raver, not only participating and going and attending, but also being a video jockey, so doing live video mixing, producing, hosting events, booking acts, producing music festivals. So I appreciate the fact, and again, even this afternoon at Club Dallas, I like bringing people together. I like hosting events. I like bringing people together even if I don't necessarily like all the people that are coming to a thing, the fact that people make connections at events that I've hosted and then I hear about it later, like, oh, I met so and so at your party and we're still good friends. Like, that's a cool feeling. I feel like without like tooting my own horn, I have a knack for bringing people together when I feel like it. That can also be very divisive. So, you know.
Beautiful, beautiful. And I can see that, I can feel that you have this approach of being open-minded, and somehow you have this thing about connecting people, and it's visible. I can see, you know what I mean? Talking to you, I can see that you have this open-minded, and people appreciate that. I think it's a nice way for you to be able to do that. And not easy sometimes, but it's just a gift, I must say.
I mean, I think my trauma recovery therapy. If people, anyone who is hearing or seeing this video, uh, if you haven't done therapy, even if you don't think that you need it,
Yeah,
go find
helpful.
yourself a therapist that you like.
Yeah,
It wasn't always like this, particularly during COVID and in Minneapolis, and while my marriage was falling apart. It's only through that process of some really really tough healing work that I've been able to like let go of my own judgments about myself and then be a safer place for other people to come in, like just talk and just exist, right? So it's been a process, but I think I'm at a good place. I think I'm making good progress now. So thank you.
please. Next question.
I love this. This is great.
Before the next question, as you mentioned at the beginning of the interview, how much you enjoy living in Dallas, the gay community, people there are very approachable. But the opposite, what do you find most challenging about the city?
You have to own a car. I mean, I'm fortunate in that I don't. And the caveat is the gay neighborhood that I live in. I'm across the street from a grocery store. There's restaurants and entertainment within walking distance. I work from home, so I'm super. Again, I have this privilege of not having to deal with that. But if I didn't have all that privilege, there's literally no way you can really exist in Dallas without a car. It's a very car-centric city. Does not have great public transit. So that, again, that ties into the whole climate change thing. It's like, well, it would be great if there was public transit and there was more walkable streets and, more bike paths. Like, there's not really bike paths around here. And in like Minneapolis, for example, we have a huge bicycle culture. People even bike in the middle of winter and they're like crazy about it.
Yeah.
But Dallas, I think because it's in Texas and Texas is very much an oil state, right? You have a lot of that oil money. You have a lot of that propaganda, I guess. Like you have that ideology that like big diesel trucks with hitch nuts and spewing out gas is like manly and cool. And it's just, yeah, I would say the cars and the traffic, the drivers in particular, like, I don't know what it is. I've been in a lot of places about the country in the US, even internationally. And the drivers here in Dallas are the worst, like the worst that I've ever seen. They don't stop, and this is a broad brushstroke, so anyone who's from Dallas that doesn't do this, I apologize, but maybe you will acknowledge the truth in what I'm saying. If you do live here, people don't seem to stop for emergency vehicles. Like they don't get out of the way, they don't stop driving through the intersection. They'll turn across 3 lanes of traffic and cut a bunch of people off like it's no big deal. Stop signs are a mere suggestion, and red lights as well. So it's always like a look both ways, even on a one-way street kind of place. And I mean, I love to drive, but they just have so many roads and so many cars here. It's a little crazy.
I see. Okay. Next question for you is, what's something that you always wanted to do, but you're scared of?
I have done a lot of that stuff. Always wanted to do, but scared of. I don't know. That's a tough one because like I don't want to do like adrenaline junkie stuff, right? Like risky behavior and me are not like copacetic. Like I'm not one of those people that want to go skydiving or bungee jumping or any of that stuff. Like it's not a want for me. And yes, I'm scared to do it too. So I'm trying to think of a thing that I want to do, but I'm scared to do. Uh
Could be anything.
Oh, okay. This is weird though, but sure. I always wanted to run for politics. I thought that that would be a good thing to do, and it could like make a difference. But then I think about that whole process and like being in the public eye, and then my past, and like there's probably crazy shit out there on the internet about me. So I was just like, nah, I don't even want to go through all of that. Like, I'm just gonna try and do good in my own little section without having to like participate in the political system at that level. So I
I
don't,
think
yeah, I'm a little too
I
much.
think
It's not for me.
I think you could be a good politician for sure. You're outspoken, and you put it out your views. I think could be a good one for you for sure. Let's vote for Peter.
Hopefully, everyone in the U.S. is gonna. I'm not gonna tell people who to vote for, but hopefully they're not gonna vote for Trump. Please, guys, we gotta do better. Like it's embarrassing. We gotta do better.
Right, I have 3 questions left. Let's do it.
Sure.
Next question is, if you could stay any age for the rest of your life, what age would that be and why?
Ooh, I am kind of liking my early 40s. Like, let's just stick with 42. The why is easy. Like, I would never want to go back to the previous versions of myself and have to redo all of that healing or be as ignorant as I was then, right? So like now I have time, I have resources, I have healing, I have the ability to exist in the way that I want to. I'm in a safe space. So like here, now, I would just like to stay in this general time frame for as long as I could. Things are pretty copacetic.
Aging for you is something that bothers you, you just see as a beautiful thing, as a matter of life.
I feel fortunate in that I have my health still. It's bittersweet, right? Age is bittersweet thing. Like there's a certain wisdom that comes along with age and a certain peacefulness that comes along with it. But as your body starts to fall apart, it comes with its own set of problems, right? I dyed my beard for a long time. I'm not anymore. I guess I'm kind of embracing that daddy label, right? And I was like, okay, I still feel good when I look in the mirror. I get that attention that I'm not seeking, but comes my way anyway. And so I'm like, all right, we were out dancing last night, and somebody was like, oh, I like your whole outfit, and I was just like, great. And he's like 20 years younger than me, so to have like younger people looking at me like I'm doing it right, I'm like, okay, cool, I'll take that. I'll take that.
I think when you embrace your age, it doesn't matter what age you are. I think people, they get that and they see it. That's why you said that someone comments about your outfit, yourself. That's what I think as well. I think around the same age as you. I'm the early 40s, and I feel great. I just
Yeah.
love it. You know what I mean? Of course, when I go to the gym, I feel little. I remember when I could have more, strength to do
Mm.
things. However, I feel my greatest as well. I think it's great to be the age we are right now, for sure. Yeah.
And like
Two
I take
questions.
care of myself better too, right? Like I work out. Like when I was younger, I was not doing healthy things for myself. So
Yeah.
even when I look at like I just wasn't healthy physically, emotionally, mentally, and now I was like very, very different. So yeah.
All of the wisdom come with age.
Yes, yes. Now, if I could, I will say this: if I could take everything that I've learned and had all like 40 years worth of memories, okay, now let me go back and be 21 and invest in the stock market. We can like do this all over again, no problem. But if I forgot everything and had to redo it, absolutely not. We're staying right here.
Two questions left. Let's do it. Before the next one, let's see. I come to Dallas for the very first time. Tell me a place, a venue, or a night out that I can't miss it. It's a must, in your opinion.
Is this for like a gay man or is this just anybody?
Gay man.
Because those would be different responses. A gay man, your night out, if you're gonna come to Dallas, has got to include the strip, the neighborhood. You gotta go and do the bar crawl. If you don't drink, just go and see it. Just go walk around, take it in. From there, I would say that you should probably go to the Dallas Eagle, which is like our leather bar. So if you're into bears and leather and that kind of vibe, you should definitely check that out. And then if you were feeling real, real frisky, you would probably cap your night off at Club Dallas. That would be a pretty gay centric experience for a night out in Dallas. You'd probably have a real good time.
Amazing. Can't wait to make it.
Okay, great.
Next question is, what makes you the saddest?
Uh, the way that I have viewed myself and other people. Like, I'm
Mhm.
at a point where I recognize that, like, it's not other people that make me feel a thing. It's not what's going on in the world that makes me feel a thing. It is the narrative that I have and the perspective that I have and the lens that I'm looking at all of this through that impacts my mood, right? So, yeah, like I think when I get the inner critic and inner judge, when that voice, when that part is particularly loud in my head, they can be very mean, right? Like that argument that might have to get edited out that we are talking about, like that inner critic, that judge, that person that can be filled with just this self-righteous rage, when that's directed at myself, or even when I'm in my own head directing that at other people, that's a deeply sad moment for me. And it's like, oh, I'm here again. I've done all of this work. Why do I have to sit here and reparent this part of myself again? And so that whole process can be sad, that like, yes, you've done all this healing, but that journey is never really over, right? And you always kind of have to grapple and be ready to deal with that darker side and those darker elements of your persona, I think. And if you're not, like, then you're just kind of out there like shitting on other people without knowing it. And that's where it's like, oh, you're part of the problem too. Like, fix you, then go out into the world. So when I see that part of myself, like, and I get sad, I will withdraw, right? Because I'm like, oh, I'm not fit for company right now. Give me a minute. I need to like self-correct and do some self-soothing. figure out whatever is like really got me giant, like, and then we can be okay. But it is that process of leaning into it and being able to like be sad, right? And actually feel that sadness and not try and like have sex to make it go away, drink to make it go away, whatever, adrenaline, whatever that, again, that dopamine treadmill, like really being able to like sit in that sadness is challenging. It's difficult.
And the opposite, what makes you the happiest?
Music and dancing, seeing people connected, right? So in a way you could say that like being disconnected and isolated and that anger and that aloneness is like the worst feeling, right? The best feeling is seeing community in action, seeing people connecting in a healthy and positive way, and just being able to share the kind of like that positive energy and those smiles. Like it's a real thing. If you've ever been to a concert or a really great party, like you can see that energy, you can feel that energy, and then when you leave, you can kind of take that with you.
Amazing. Last question, ready?
Sure, yeah, let's do it.
Do it, that's one. But before the last question, I'm gonna ask you a question that you don't need to answer if you don't want to. I always can take another one, okay? My question for you is, in the beginning of the interview, you mentioned about, your relation with your family, that, for the reasons that, you have, you're not connected with anymore. My question for you is, if you had the opportunity to somehow, change the ways nowadays and somehow make a point and they would kind of understand and accept it, would you be able to reconnect it again? Have you forgiven? The other part of the question is, have you forgiven, let's say, your family?
I would 100% be willing to be in relationship with them again. There is no part, like forgiveness is not difficult. However, when you've spent decades putting in the lion's share of the work to make a relationship work as a recovering people pleaser, I just have lines in the sand, right? And I don't want to be triggered by these folks. And I don't want that mean, nasty person to come out. I spent so much time and effort healing that part. So it's just like they would have to do the work. They would have to be willing to actually put in the work, actually talk about the problems that have existed historically in our family, what they're working on currently, some sort of action plan. But they're not those kind of folks. They're not those kind of people, right? So I just gave up on it. I was just like, I would be open to it 100%. Do I ever think it's going to happen? Probably not. It'll probably someone will probably be on a deathbed the next time that I see some of these folks, if that.
I see.
Okay. But yeah, I would be open to it. It's not like I haven't forgiven them. It's that who they are currently. It's all that stuff is in the past, right? Yeah, I get all that. We can't change them to that. But who they are now is so emblematic of who they were then that it's just like I would be crazy, right? It would be like a Stockholm syndrome. It's like, oh, let me go back and hang out with these people who are abusive and cruel and mean. And you don't do that. You get to a point where you're like, I love them the best way that I can. And that is from a distance. I love them by taking care of myself, right? I love them by doing what's good for me. I can't love them the way that they want me to and still be true to myself, unfortunately. So we just had to like come to that place where it's like, I don't hate them. I don't wish them ill will. My ex-husband, some days, it depends. I'm still working on that one. But my family, yeah, if they were to come to me and say, hey, we're sorry, we want to talk, we're willing to go do family therapy together, I would 100% participate. In fact, the reason that we don't talk is because that offer at one point in time was on the table, and they were like, no. And I was like, oh, okay. If I'm the one that has the problem, then I will fix the problem, right? And that's being close to you guys. So yeah.
Amazing. I just hope this interview gets to them somehow, and I just hope that somehow this message, this positive message that I've got goosebumps now, that you are willing to somehow, reconnect it somehow as well, for them to at least accept it and try to somehow working on themselves in some things that maybe it would reconnect you again. So yeah, just hope for the best for sure.
I mean, and you asking that question, like, and just the course of this interview, I think one of the things that I'm kind of having a little bit of a aha moment about is like, was talking about that inner critic and judge, right? And it's like, how do I, and so this, I guess, is my current challenge. How could I, how would I, what does the next stage of healing look like? Because if you can be in space and hold space for people that you really disagree with and perhaps don't even like, that feels like a superpower. Let me back up my superpower answer a little bit. If I had a superpower that was based in communications, it would be to be able to hold space and have a conversation with somebody no matter how much I disagree with them, no matter how horrible the thing that I think that they are or what they might have done, to be able to not judge, criticize, but to be able to stay curious and understand,
Mhm.
that would be a pretty cool superpower. I think that could really do some transformative work for people, but
I
it's
love that.
hard. It's hard to do. It's super hard to do.
I love that. Last question is, what's the best gift have you ever received, and from whom?
Andrew, my current boyfriend, got me here. I think I can show it to you right here. So as you may see, I have a lot of plants,
Beautiful.
and he got me this plant shelf. And he got me this plant shelf. It came in the mail, and I just cried. I opened
Oh,
it up. I saw what it was, and I was like, oh. And it's because like just his time, his attention, like that's a physical gift. But when I really think about like how much he does for me, I'm spoiled. This man makes food for me. He's a fantastic cook. Like he gives me gifts that make me feel gratitude on a regular basis. But this one really got me. This one like stopped me and was like an aha moment. And it's like, oh, you really, you see me. You see me for who I am. You get me. I adore you.
beautiful, beautiful. Okay, it's not the end yet. Let's play now the word association game. Okay, I'm going to
Okay.
give away some words. Just tell one word that comes to your mind. Quick thinking. Let's start with family,
Ew.
money,
Ew.
life,
Uh, just uh,
okay, good one. Fear,
Trump.
love,
Andrew.
religion,
Yeah. Toxic.
okay, sex,
Beautiful hyphen drug.
ooh, politics, friendship,
Essential.
desire,
Passion.
regret.
Rumination.
I like this word. Success,
What is the word? I would say peace.
okay, wish,
Healing.
one word for happiness,
Contentment.
one word for Nebraska,
Boring.
one word for Dallas,
Exciting.
and the last one now, one word for USA.
Hypocritical.
Okay, let's pretend now I'm gonna go all the way to Dallas, and I'm gonna meet Andrew. Yeah, the name of your partner.
Sure, yeah.
And I'm gonna go, Andrew, tell me, what is the most beautiful thing about Peter? What do you think he would say?
I'm very cuddly. I'm very cuddly and affectionate. If you're around and we're in good connection, be it romantic or just a friend, like there's this energy and this joy of being around you is coming at you full force.
And if I would ask him, and tell him something that he still needs to work on to improve on, what he would say?
Me or him?
Yeah. You.
Me? I would say I'm still healing. He knows. He's been a big part of my healing journey. So we're not there yet. I still have. I mean, we were at the concert on Friday, and for no reason, a song I'd never heard before. I couldn't hear the lyrics. I'm just bawling my eyes. I had to put my sunglasses on because I'm like, here in this concert, something triggered. It was the one phrase that I could hear was, I miss you. And so all of these people that I'm not in connection with anymore came up, and then I'm like, do I miss these? What do I miss about these people? Like what? And so I'm just trying to like work through all of that. So that's hard for somebody to hold space for, right? Like to like be there and be like, oh, this person's like ugly crying right now. I don't know what to do. So yeah, I just keep healing, just keep doing what we're doing.
What's your star sign in astrology?
I'm a Taurus, Taurus
Um,
Aries cusp, which I'm not like real big into astrology. I don't read my horoscope, but I will say most of the people that I have an instant bond with are another Taurus. He's not. He's Capricorn, I think.
I see. Okay.
But again, like all of my other relationships have been like kind of toxic and crazy, and this one's like super safe. So I've never dated a Capricorn before. Hopefully, I'm not going to be swapping that out anytime soon.
Let's play now, Peter, in the magic box, and you can ask me a question. Okay, you can ask me a question now.
It's going to be a game. I want you to pick a category for me: dreams, life lessons, exposed, courage, beliefs, or self-awareness.
I love you. Oh my God, what very creative. I had like thousands of people here on the show. Nobody asking the question like that. I love it.
So
You know
let
what?
me give you your categories again: self-awareness,
Yeah.
beliefs, courage, exposed, life lessons, or dreams.
You know what? I connect. There are three words there that I connect very strong with. But you know what? I'm gonna go for dreams.
Okay. So you're playing a game with me that there's these great little cards. They're called icebreakers from a company called Best Self. And I use these at my job and I use these in my relationship as well. They're designed to ask provocative questions that help you get to know people. And well, this is one that you asked me basically. Let me see. What's a good one here? Let me change this. Do you have any children?
No.
Okay. What dreams do you have for the next generation?
Wow. Okay. It straight away come to my mind right now. The dream that I have for the next generation is for people to be there, let's say, open-minded the most they can. Like people, they don't judge for the color of their skin, the gender, or their sexual orientation, the way they see. I think I would like to the next generation to look at people and see people, and not genders or colors or politicals or religions, sides. I would like people to be understand that's okay. Oh, you are gay. Oh, okay. It wouldn't be even like a topic or something to talk about. It would be something so normal if you say like, oh, I'm gay. Oh, I'm black. Oh, I'm white. Oh, I'm red. Oh, I have piercing. Oh, I have red hair. Anything that people, they would go like, you know what? It's you. It's just about people. That's what I wish for the best generation. I think people, they would be much more understanding, and whatever we are facing right now in the world, that should be avoided because of that. I think this new generation would see people as people only. I think that would be a big thing for sure. Yeah, that's what I hope. I wish.
I second that, and I would even go a little expand the idea. I hope that they can see the truth, right? The truth that doesn't matter whether you're gay, straight, white, black, African, Asian, you're a human, right? You're a person. And then further, like the truth behind a lot of these systems. Like we live in a complicated, difficult world that is often obscured. The truth is not obvious, right? And we're often divided into these categories, and these false labels are put on us. So I would really hope that like they have the ability to think through the delusions, to think through the indoctrination, to really see their own truth, and then to see the truth about the world around them. 100%.
Absolutely. Peter, did you enjoy the interview?
I did. This was fun. Thank you for the invitation.
Thanks so much for being so kind. Thanks so much for to bring this beautiful energy that you have. And I think also I appreciate the, you're talking about your healing process, about your journeys as well, because I'm sure people out there, they might be watching this interview and maybe they are faced situation that you mentioned during the interview and just see someone talking so open about it. And you are such in a great place right now, having, a boyfriend, having someone that you trust, somewhere you live in a place where you feel the happiest. And I think people, they appreciate that because maybe they might be in a place that they're not comfortable with or they're not happy. But however, seeing someone facing that, they already, as you've been through that, and now you are in a place that you can be your true self, I think is very inspiring. So thanks so much for being so open and talk about those things in life. Before you go, if you can share a positive message or anything that you live by.
I would say the Four Agreements. If anyone is familiar with them or is not familiar with them, look them up. Let me see if I have them memorized. It's uh, always do your best, be impeccable with your word. Oh, I need to look them up. I can't remember the two other ones right now, but those Four Agreements, Miguel Ruiz is the author, and the way that he frames them is so healing for people pleasers because you have to agree to this stuff, right? You agree to how you look at the world. You agree to having a feeling. You agree to allow other people's energy to come in and affect you. And when you can start breaking some of those agreements and still form new principles, that I think is where the change and the healing comes into place. And so lean into that process, look at yourself, figure out what part of the problem you have, what bad agreements have you made with yourself, right? And then try and break them. And that work is hard, so hard, but very worth it on the back end. So if you're looking for something to help guide you, check out the Four Agreements. It's a great place to start.
Amazing. Thanks so much for taking the time. Thanks for the interview. Regards to Andrew, to your friends, and you keep in touch, okay? Take care.
Okay, thanks so much, Willem. Bye-bye now.
Bye-bye. Take care. So, did you like the show? Don't forget to give a like, to share it, and also don't forget to subscribe to the channel. And if you'd like to be part of the show as well, first, subscribe to our channel, and after that, just go to our website, www.williamandthemagicbox.com, and send us a request saying why would you like to be part of the show. And I see you there. Bye bye, see you next time.